leading to now is that this intrapsychic, so-called, mistakenly called intrapsychic process, is always inherently relational also. I'm present, then I have to be acutely aware of the relational process that is happening. I cannot, and this is a pitfall here of our community, I cannot think of myself as being this pure neutral vapor that is only helping this person find their focusing place inside them. I have to recognize that I just told them what to do. And that goes over very well with many people, and with many people it doesn't. I once had a client who said outright to me, I don't like it when you tell me what to do inside myself. So I said, oh, I see, you don't want me to tell you what to do in your own inner territory. Well, I won't do that anymore. Then she looked up and said, but don't go away. So then I had this more complicated message to say, but it encapsulates what I'm trying to say. You see what a gross missing, it's like missing the elephant in the room, not to recognize that when I say to somebody something, there is an interaction going on, not just what I'm saying.
I just want to add a little thing in there.
Oh, you get to do it.
My 2 cents. When the client said, I don't want you to tell me what to do inside myself, but don't go away, for a relational therapist, that's a wonderful moment. I mean, it would be a moment...
Well, say a little more.
Well, it would be a moment in which I would say, oh, yes, if you tell me that, maybe I'll go away, and what would that do?
So now let's set this up, because we're doing very well here now. I know how we get in the middle, and we're in the middle. I want to, with all the strength I have, agree with Lynn. And then when that's done, then I want to disagree with Lynn.
I like the first part better.
And then when that's done, I want to agree with Lynn again.
Oh, I like that again.
So before we have lunch, we have to do a lot of work. Lynn just said 2 things that are interactional. She said, first you said the thing that I completely agree with comes first, then the 2 things. The first thing she said was, when I ask myself, what am I doing now? What is the interaction now? Or what is happening now? What is this person doing to me, and what I'm doing to her by saying what I just said, or what could I do more? When you ask that question, Lynn is saying you have to pay it, you are already asking both the outside interaction and your own inside, because your own inside is living in this interaction. So you don't really know that you're expressing an angry criticism until you look inside and say, oh, gee, I'm pissed, I didn't know that. Then you realize, oh my God, what I said has that in it. If you just look at the outside only, you won't find it. But if you look at the inside only, you won't find it either, because you won't have what's going on. So both the inside and the outside make the so-called inside, right? You got that point by now? Then Lynn said 2 things you can do about that. One of them is that you can affirm the interaction. I want to say back to Lynn, and that's a distortion of Lynn. I want to say back to Lynn, you're expanding on her fear that you will go away. You see what I did? I made it an internal spot in the client. And of course that is an effect that you're having. But what are you doing there? What were you intending to do?
Those moments are very important. So you know, of course, we all pay attention to our particular
You're stretching
things.
the moment.
So I'm stretching the moment, but I'm also paying very close attention to if she tells me something, then there's an anticipation of abandonment. So I'm just making notice of that, trying to make room for that, that is something for me, not an aside. Another thing is that I'm
So wait,
wanting...
so here's a funny difference between us that I haven't noticed before. Lynn and I have been talking for years, And so there isn't going to be some sort of simple end to it. But most of the span that we agree with is very valuable, and this conference is about that. Maybe about many others, but it's about that. So I want to say there's something funny that you did there. I'm saying my natural tendency, even if I stretch it out and say, oh, you don't want me to tell you what to do in there, but you don't want me to go away, you're afraid I'll go away, is already trying to help her locate the spot in her where steps can come. The spot in her where she right now is speaking from, living from, breathing from. The spot in there which the thing about you're afraid I'll go away is only a handle for that spot. But I do agree that there are many times when we want to stretch out. By stretch out, I just mean what you said back was, oh, you don't want me to tell you what to do in there, but you don't, you're afraid I'll go away. Oh, you're afraid I'll go away. Oh, and she's stretching out the moment so that, and I like that. I want to do that too, quite often. Not always, but quite often.
For me, it's not the spot in there of the patient. It's the spot between us or with us. The in there is also between us. And so when the patient says, I don't want you to go away, I don't want you to tell me what to do, and I don't want you to go away, it's not only something for the client, it's also something very important for the team, for the us, of how, oh, there's very important information here about what we have to develop together, how we can be together, how I contribute and respond here is about us and the spot for us. So there's a spot, there's a spot in the patient, which isn't in the patient, and there's a spot in me, which isn't in me, and then there's also the spot of the us, the team, and the edge of where we are together, that I call the new us. The us is always first, and the us doesn't include just two people. The us isn't two outside people, it's this whole big thing.
Yeah. And it's happening right now, here, so you can find it. Right? Like, how am I relating to Lynn right now, and how am I relating to you right now? Can be found. It's here, you know.
And what is the edge of the us right now? How do we, Jean and I, and all of us, what is the forward edge of our team right now to open, to find the new?
I'm not so sure as you are that the us has a forward edge.
Oh. No, don't say that. Of course.
No. When you really understand a philosopher or a theorist or another person, then you always understand more. So there's nothing wrong with you knowing more than me once you figure out all the things that I have to say. You have gone in this direction further, and that's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
So your own no shout was not losing me, but what was your own no shout? I misinterpreted it.
Oh, my oh no is don't say that we don't have a further movement as an us here. I know you don't mean that.
Well, what I we're going to move further as an us. But whether you can take the kind of further that an organism has and attribute it to an us, I'm not so sure. And I get annoyed by people who simply assume that. But if they just in this sloppy way say, oh, we all live in this interactional cosmic something or other, I feel like, well, do you really have that? Can you really feel that? So I'm not so sure that the us really lives like a third body that would have its own tissue and its own implying. I think the us has more to go in her and has more to go in me. And there I go, you see, doing that thing.
Yes. I just wanted to clarify one little point there, that when I find that spot, when the client says, you know, I'm afraid you'll go away, and for me, that's the precision of the forward implying of the us is very, very palpable and very precise. And there's something that's being said there and something that I'm feeling what is being implied for us. But I know that there's an edge there for an us when she says something so direct. And I've had the tendency of telling her what to do, and she says, don't do that, but don't go away. There's something very, very right there in the us that
Sure.
implies some forward movement for our team. We're going to learn how, just as Jean and I, we've only had 30 years. I mean, we're going to have time to have that right there exactly, and we do, of course, always.
Right.